What fascinates us about the Big Bang? The creation of our universe is one of the most mind-boggling events known to man. It is still debated, but not because cosmologists question whether it happened, but why and how it happened. It was the single most important event in our universe's history. To help me explain one of the many hypotheses about what caused the Big Bang, I've asked James to join me, who is a good friend of mine.
Hi Alex, it's good to be here, and yeah, I'm pretty much just here to be a pretty voice.
Oh, that is not true. But let's carry on. Before the Big Bang, there was nothing. And not the traditional nothing, but a pure and absolute nothing. The most common concept of nothing is that there's just a vacuum, lacking matter. But matter only makes up so much of what makes something something. A pure and absolute nothing consists of exactly that. Absolutely nothing. No particles, no waves, no light, no time, nothing. So if there was nothing before the Big Bang, then how did the Big Bang happen? And how can something happen if there's no time? Without time, nothing can happen, because the process of something happening requires time to flow so that changes can occur between point A and point B in time. Like pushing a cup of coffee off of your table. It requires time to flow so that the cup can travel from the edge of your table and down onto the floor.
In quantum physics, however, the rules are very different and much more complex. Quantum physics explains that there are limits to how precisely one can know the properties of the most basic units of matter. For instance, one can never absolutely know a particle's position and momentum at the same time. And that's not because of scientists' inability to determine those things, but a property of the physical world. One peculiar consequence of this uncertainty is that a vacuum is never completely empty, but instead buzzes with so-called virtual particles that constantly wink into and out of existence. A very real effect of our inability to determine the position of particles is that they can exist in multiple rotations or any number of possible locations all at once. There's another pair of functions in physics that quantum uncertainty could apply to, namely time and energy.
That's right, James. Time is to energy as position is to momentum. So it's easy to understand why many argue that the quantum uncertainty principle can be applied to time and energy as well. But for the sake of this video, let's assume that this is true. If time and energy are subject to quantum uncertainty, that means that you at no given time can know the exact energy of something, which implies that zero can be uncertain. If zero can be uncertain, that means that zero in quantum physics can at any point be non-zero, which simply means that we can have energy from nothing. That something can be created out of nothing. To give an analogy, imagine a computer. They work by switching bits on and off, ones and zeros, where 1 means on and 0 means off. But if nothingness as described by quantum physics can turn zeros into ones spontaneously, no matter how short a time, something will eventually happen given enough time. Information will be created out of nothing by pure chance. It's like that old example. Give 1,000 chimpanzees 1,000 typewriters an infinite amount of time to try, and they will eventually write the complete works of Shakespeare. This is a very interesting idea, since it could give an explanation as to how the Big Bang happened. And not just an explanation, but a very satisfying explanation.
There might be some that believe this hypothesis would violate thermodynamics, and for good reason. Quantum physics, however, trumps thermodynamics. The second law of thermodynamics states that the disorder in a closed system mostly increases and at best stays the same. This is called entropy, which is the increase in disorder and chaos over time. Like when you fry an egg, you crack the egg, pour it into the pan and heat it, but the reverse never happens. The egg never becomes unfried and jumps back into the shell and becomes whole again. Things, when considered as a whole, always become more disordered over time, never less disordered. Even if in short-term events, such as the creation of a new egg inside a chicken, it appears as if order has been created from disorder. Quantum physics has a way around that principle, because in quantum physics, entropy can be negative, meaning that entropy still increases but at a negative value, and thus not violating the second law of thermodynamics. If this seems contradictory, it is important to remember that at the teeny tiny quantum scale, well, frankly, things get weird. So, simply put, the universe could be created out of nothing.
This is, however, one of many hypotheses as to how the universe came to be, but that the Big Bang occurred, however, is very evident in observational cosmology. We might not be sure how or why it happened, but it did happen. A small percentage of the static you see on a dead TV station is leftover radiation from the Big Bang. You're seeing residual effects of the universe's creation. This residual effect is known as a cosmic microwave background, or CMB for short. It is the thermal radiation left over from the Big Bang. It is the oldest light in the universe and fundamental to observational cosmology. So, let's end this video on a quote by Bill Bryson. The next time you complain that there's nothing on, remember that you can always watch the birth of the universe. This has been Alexander.
And James, with some thoughts on the Big Bang. Bye bye.
And cheerio. Oh hi, if you enjoyed this video, perhaps you'll enjoy my previous video as well. And if you enjoy my content, you should press the subscribe button. And don't forget to check out James Rossi's channel as well.